And with us now, Aaron David Miller, former State Department analyst and negotiator, currently a fellow at the Woodrow Wilson International Center. I think you worked under 6 presidents, overlap with Richard Howes at several points.
I'm that old. 6 Secretaries of State.
6 Secretaries of State, rather.
Almost.
More turnover in state than at the White House, for sure. Let's talk about Libya first. And what options the president has. The president has faced, carping from all sides because you either do too much or too little. No one is ever satisfied in a situation like this. Do you think he has the right tone, or are we really without great leverage?
Look, I think we're in a box, and I don't think there's a morally or emotionally satisfying response to this. You could take over the country, as Richard warned against. You could deploy special forces in an effort, in a highly urban area, in an effort to take out Gaddafi. But the reality is we would only be under those circumstances. And the fact is we can't. We can take things and do things that make ourselves feel better. Travel bans, sanctions, no-fly zones. But in the end, until the money runs out, until the mercenaries run out, until those family members who control security units around Gaddafi decide that he has to go, and that may well not happen, there's not a whole lot we're going to do. It's cruel, it's unforgiving, it's tragic to watch, but it reflects essentially the reality. This transformational wave that's sweeping from one end of the Middle East to the other is not an American story. The Arabs are tearing down their own Berlin Wall, if you will, and that's good. It's just messy, and it's going to put us in the untenable position of being unable to direct, certainly, or even shape substantially the events on the ground.
You referred to special forces on the ground taking out Gaddafi. There is an executive order, I think it dates back to President Ford's tenure, against assassinations of leaders.
That's true, although we've been using Predator drones in any number of areas to whack all kinds of bad guys, leaders or no leaders. I'm not recommending this.
But leaders are a different order.
Right.
I mean, there is an executive order about that.
Right.
But do you think that that is actually a covert policy that might be underway or might be considered?
I don't. What I think may be underway, given the fact that there don't seem to be borders anymore in this country, and if journalists can get in, then all kinds of other people can get in to help organize. We just have to be very careful. American fingerprints, with this kind of sensitivity to colonial and foreign intervention, in Libya in particular, carry a price.
Right now, we have not seen anti-American activity. Certainly, our own Richard Engel or other people on the ground have not seen any evidence of that. They've been welcomed by most of the rebels, not to say there aren't some bad actors easily mixed in, but this could easily turn.
It could, well, although we didn't see it in Tunis and Egypt either. We didn't see pro-American sensitivities or sensibilities.
As you say, it's not an American story.
Exactly. We're not in the driver's seat, and it's hard for us, for a potentially transformative president who feels he needs to react in a transformative way to these historic events. And I think he did talk too much with respect to Egypt. I think they've lowered the beat here. The less we say, the better. And if we're going to be tough in public, we better be prepared to back it up. And the reality right now is we can't.
What about the fact that Medvedev spoke out today? This is the strongest Russian criticism against Gaddafi ever. Sarkozy, more predictably, calling for him to step down. What about other pressures that can be brought to bear?
Multilateral stuff is fine. Security Council resolutions, of course, the French and the Brits are not enough. You need the Chinese and the Russians, and they're going to be reluctant, it seems to me, the Chinese for sure.
The Chinese came on board, though, earlier this week on
they did,
a resolution that was critical of
right,
Gaddafi.
But yeah, again, words as opposed to actions, and that's the dividing line. And I think it's going to be very difficult. If this goes on for weeks more, I suspect the international community will find itself in a position that it's going to have to act. Whether it can actually shape events on the ground, though, is another matter.
Very quietly, what's happening behind the scenes with the Saudis?
Well, I think the Saudis are in a real bind, and in large part, we are proving to them that we are neither a strong friend nor a strong adversary of people they don't like. So we have a problem. There's no question about it, in large part because we can't direct and shape these events. They have to be nervous. They're a causeway away. They have their own Shia community in the eastern provinces. It's coterminous with the large amount of oil. And this isn't going to end. That's the other reality. This is going to continue to endure, and they're going to have to preempt it. Well, the king returned. He's already trying to preempt it. But life for the autocrats, life for the Americans, and I would even add another factor or party, life for the Israelis, is going to get a lot more complicated in the new Middle East.
And we'll talk more about the Saudis with Jim Cramer, because they have given private assurances about
oil,
backing us up on the oil.
Right.
Aaron David Miller, it's always a pleasure. Thank you.